All right, let's talk a little bit about Jordan Love. It's interesting because I feel like there are a lot of fans, which is fine. I mean, you work a full-time job, you have kids, you got a life. You can't watch everybody all the time. And self-admittedly, I watched a lot of football this year. I've watched Jordan Love maybe 2 or 3 times, so not a lot. I don't have a real good beat on how good he has been. Obviously the numbers are there, but I don't like to box score scout. I like to see players for themselves and make kind of a decision on who they are. Jordan Love was fantastic tonight. And I think 49er fans got to see Jordan Love front and center. They got to see CJ Stroud front and center, some other young, good quarterbacks, and see what they're all about. I'm not a big EPA guy. I'm not a big advanced metric stat guy for stats that I don't know how they're made as far as the equation that goes into them, EPA, QBR, passer rating, all that stuff. But if you are a big EPA guy, Jordan Love had the most efficient playoff game of all time in his first playoff game when it comes to EPA. So whatever that is worth to you, he just did it today. The game that you watched was the most efficient playoff game ever by a quarterback against the Dallas Cowboys. Tonight, he did that. So that being said, I say all of that to say Jordan Love is a pretty good quarterback. We're seeing it front and center. What do you think about Jordan Love overall?
Yeah, like I said, I've watched a lot of Jordan Love this week. And by the way, Jordan Love came within, looks like 1.1 points of a perfect quarterback rating as well. Another stat that nobody seems to understand. And so that being said, he had a great game. And Jordan Love is a quarterback that when you talk about traits, when you talk about talent, arm talent, I mean, there are a few people that come close to what he can do with the arm. Now, I don't want to just boil Jordan Love down to his traits, but he brings that ability to take the top off, right? He brings that ability to, if you need him to get a shoot, if you need him to use those tools, right? He can do them. He is a plus athlete, but he's not a guy that looks to run first. A guy that I always thought, find a way to bring up Trey Lance because he's on the Cowboys. Like, it's kind of like in that regard, like this idea that, athletic dude, but isn't looking to sit here and scramble right away. What he is, though, really good at is buying time in the pocket. He has great pocket awareness, but also not necessarily just stepping up, stepping out. Like, he can still stay within a pocket that moves. And there's a lot of quarterbacks that aren't good at that. Incidentally, I think Brock Purdy's been very good at that lately, too. So those are the things that I think that can really pose problems for the 49ers. Is not a preternatural way to like evade Nick Bosa, but he doesn't panic in normal situations. Now, one thing I have noticed, a little bit anecdotal, is that when you see pressure beyond 4 that he's not looking or he's not identifying at the line of scrimmage, that he wouldn't be the only one, that's where some things can get a little sketch, right? And so I know Steve Wilks, and you know my philosophy. Like, I feel like Steve Wilks gets a little too blitz happy with Fred Warner. I think, though, in this game, Steve Wilks has got to not be afraid to be Steve Wilks and not care what David Lichty thinks. Like, and I think that, but still go within reason. And so, yeah, I think Jordan Love is, to me, if I'm going to ask for next year, if you were asking me if I'm going to pick a quarterback, people are talking about CJ Stroud. I'm going to be honest with you right now. I honestly believe that Jordan Love has somehow evaded the conversation that we're having about CJ Stroud. And I love CJ Stroud. But because Jordan Love is not a rookie, well, Jordan Love didn't start much. Well, that he grew. He got better. And his weapons, and CJ Stroud's weapons aren't great either. They're not bad. Respectfully, Jordan Love's weapons, I mean, come on now. You got young players. They are raw. They are green, just like Jordan Love. And Jordan Love is doing all of this with guys that are still growing into this system. They're still doing this with guys who are still getting their feet wet. That, to me, is impressive. Like, Rich Madrid had talked about this a couple of days. Like, Jordan Love, he deserves – he's going to be an MVP candidate next year. Next year, he will be a guy that is capable of being in that conversation. So, that being said, I still think there is a little bit of those YOLO tendencies that have gotten him in trouble, that have kept things tight in games against Carolina. New York Giants late in the year when they had a chance to try to win the division. I think the 49ers can capitalize on that. I think Steve Wilkes can, within reason, get him out of his comfort zone just enough to generate 1 or 2 turnovers, and complementing that with the 49ers offensive attack, I think it's a recipe for success.
Lions just scored a touchdown on their first drive. Goff went 5 for 5. It looks like Laporta's playing. And now the Rams have a chance to answer. I think this game could be a shootout going both ways. This is going to be a lot of fun. And we're going to get out of here shortly. We got this and then one more quick topic. But, we just wanted to get on and talk about the matchup that's coming up next week. Yeah, I was very impressed with Jordan Love. Very impressed with Jordan Love. Happy to watch him a little bit more. And essentially, yes, I know he's not a rookie, but this is his first year playing. And so some of the mistakes that he makes now that you pointed to, I definitely see as well, but he will get better. That's why you got to give players time to develop. And 3 years is like my rule of thumb, to fully give them time to play, let the league figure them out, let them bounce back and figure out the league and work on things that they need to work on. But nothing but impressed with Jordan Love. First playoff game to come in, play on the road in a tough environment. Whatever you think about the Dallas Cowboys, sure. If you want to downplay what the Packers did because the Cowboys are frauds and Dak's frauds and whatever, Jordan Love played fantastic tonight. You can't take that away from him. And you've now seen, him, Stroud, Purdy, guys come in their first playoff action, throw for 3 touchdowns. I mean, that's some very, very good stuff. So you got to give him some credit. Some credit.
And on that thread that you just said, the NFL right now with their young quarterbacks is
very good place.
Right. Oh my goodness. It paired with, so Brock Purdy with Kyle Shanahan, Jordan Love with Mike LaFleur, CJ Stroud with, I'm not as big on Bobby Slow because everybody's from that, but with a head coach like DeMeco Ryans, right? Like these are secure, competent, excellent coaches, right? Like this is what you want to pair a quarterback with.
Yeah.
Right? And I think that's why you're going to see, I really feel that the 49ers Packers, you're going to see a lot of these matchups over the next 5 to 6 years in the playoffs.
Yeah, Ray, I actually disagree with you a little bit. I think the Chiefs they did everything that all the mistakes they made all season, they did that yesterday, but Miami's just awful. Miami is absolutely terrible. So I don't think they could capitalize. But what are the Chiefs' problems? You've got a lot of drops. And you got Mahomes airmailing guys, and both of those happened at an astronomical level yesterday, but it didn't matter because Miami and Tua are just that bad. That's what it comes down to. So On the Goal Line says, do you all think that the rumors about McCarthy being potentially fired could have affected the Cowboys locker room? Not really confidence inspiring. I mean, though, it's the NFL. Rumors are going to fly, man. And you can either deal with pressure or you can't. If that was too much pressure for them to deal with, they didn't deserve to be there. And you're right. On the Goal Line, it definitely could have, but that's what makes you fraudulent. You got to be able to deal with some pressure, and they just couldn't do it today.
Well, yeah, and I think guys, look, it's fun. It's fun. I love to see players out there podcasting. It's cool that people can go hear what these guys think. I am pro player, pro labor, and at the same time, like this propensity of players kind of getting into that mode is like in the middle of the season, in the middle of the week. Yeah, like it is given some ammunition, all right, to people like, what are you worried about? Who are you worried about? Talking about other people's teams. And I think the Cowboys kind of talk a lot about other people quite a bit.
They do.
Yeah, they keep people in their head quite a bit when nobody else is bringing it up. They instigate, they initiate, they talk all this ish. And look, it's just you don't have to
I don't want listen, I don't want to stop your rant there, but I got to say this. You talk about other people being in their head. Did you hear the cadence or the check call that they had today?
No.
Dak came up and I forget what the check was, but it was like Shanahan false. Like just little things like that. Like, come on, man. 49ers are clearly in your dome that you've got a Shanahan play check. That was interesting. That was very, very interesting to hear. I was like, did I hear that right? Shanahan false? Like, what's that even mean? But anyways,